Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Steve Griffin. I'm an Einstein Fellow assigned to the National Science Foundation. I came here from Woodlawn High School in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and I'm a physics teacher. I came to Washington, D.C. to learn how things work, and in particular with the National Science Foundation. So I'm embedded at the National Science Foundation in the Directorate of Engineering. So I was enlightened by these research opportunities that we have for high school students and high school teachers. So I wanted to kind of explain to everyone what my title meant. Broadening participation is really what I mean by that is trying to get as many students and teachers involved as possible in these grants associated for research for small businesses. STEM means science, technology, engineering, and math. And of course, SBIR, we use that acronym quite frequently around here. It means Small Business Innovative Research. So I guess the main thing is I'm a real believer in the proposition that it's never too early to start active research, especially with high school students. I'm kind of passionate about getting high school students involved in active research, and I think this is a good way to do it. This is a way to get students and teachers actively involved in groundbreaking research in an entrepreneurial setting. And if you notice on the bottom of the slide, I have Triangle Coalition link. If you're interested in becoming an Einstein Fellow or you want to know more about the Einstein Fellowship, I'll just direct you to that link. So I'll move to the next slide. So most teachers are aware of NSF, or the National Science Foundation, as being a premier funding institution, not only for professional development for teachers, but also with research in many areas associated with science and STEM. But most people are unaware, at least the people that I've come across are unaware of the opportunities for high school students. A lot of people know about what they call REU opportunities, research opportunities for undergraduates, but not a lot of people know about the high school opportunities. There are opportunities for high school students to get involved in research. So being allowed the opportunity to embed in the Directorate of Engineering Division of Industrial Innovation and Partnerships, Einstein Fellow, opened up a previous passion of having high school students participate in cutting-edge research. These opportunities are encouraged through the implementation of supplemental grant opportunities afforded to SBIR Phase 2 grantees. So SBIRs traditionally have funding in stages, and the Phase 2 is the second stage of the grant. So again, SBIR means Small Business Innovative Research Grant, and currently there are about 350 Phase 2 SBIRs that could potentially place 2 high school students and a high school teacher for each SBIR. And I strongly suggest that teachers and students pair up for these SBIRs. I think that would be a nice way to go. There's also a program at STTR, Small Business Technology Transfer. But you can research that more on the website, and I'll show you how to get to the website. So the next slide. Here are some examples of SBIRs participating. This is the kind of research that they do, which I've really been impressed with. SBIRs are basically small startup businesses based on high-risk, cutting-edge research. Things like robotic arms, and you'll see a video clip of a company that's building robotic arms. And there is a company that uses mycology or mushrooms to make different kinds of materials. And that is they've made surfboards out of this material, as a matter of fact. So that's pretty neat. And we have a video clip from that company also, and then this one here, this CereLink, they have a real good RAHSS program currently. And they do a lot of stuff with ceramic products and material science also. So, are you excited yet? These sites are actual businesses starting at the ground floor doing cutting-edge work. This program is just not limited to high school students, but can also involve teachers, undergraduate students, and veterans. Envision what would happen when these prospective STEM majors return to the high school classroom or their first year as an undergraduate student after a research experience with one of these entrepreneurial entities. I'm going to go to the next slide. If you have the opportunity to go to some conferences, I have been going to conferences and handing out these cards. And these cards are available on the website, or if you send me an email, I can send you a PDF file of these cards. And on the back of these cards is a QR code that you can hit with your cell phone, and it can pull up the website. But if you see underneath the cards, there are the website address. But if you look at the cards, if you look closely at the cards, high school students get up to $6,000 per year. Undergraduates get up to $8,000 per year, and K through 12 and community college teachers get up to $10,000 per year. And usually when I talk to teachers at conferences, they about jump out of their skin when I tell them this, because that's a pretty good summer job. But it doesn't have to be in the summertime. You arrange that with whoever is the grantee. You have to kind of work it out with them, what the hours are, and exactly what you'll be doing. But just like the Army, it's not just a job, it's an adventure. Can you imagine the possibilities when a high school student is paired up with a teacher, or better yet, a teacher, high school student, and undergraduate student, like at Barrett Technologies? And I'm going to show you a little clip that we took. This is one of my colleagues from the office visited Barrett Technologies, the ones that developed this robotic arm, and you'll see her manipulating this arm. And what I wanted to point out was at this particular company, they have a team working on this kind of technology. So in other words, they'll have a teacher and a couple of high school students and a couple of undergrads all working together in a team. But this is a real good example of the kind of companies that we're talking about. These aren't huge academic institutions. They're small businesses, and they're allowing students and teachers to come in and see how to build things from the ground floor up. Pretty exciting stuff. And if you get a chance to go and hang out with these guys, you'll see how passionate and how exciting they are. It's really neat. I think it's really neat. When I talk to students about getting into engineering and physical science, their eyes start rolling over and getting glassy. And I've always had a hard time trying to talk students into doing engineering or physical science, or even considering it. So I found this information, and I put it up because it's pretty dramatic. This demonstrates the lifetime earning of a bachelor's degree in engineering and a master's degree in engineering, and the same will go with physical science. And it's pretty amazing. And the notes that I've written about this, for me, the reason I went into teaching was the intrinsic value of seeing someone grow. If I could contribute to the process even better, give me a little stipend and I would be overjoyed. But statistically, the most sought after undergraduates in the current workplace are engineering majors and those in the physical science. learners, creators, collaborators, and teachers are in our classrooms waiting for the seed to be planted. So I'm really encouraging people to get involved and try to get students to try this little experiment with research. Okay, so one of the things that has been my focus here at NSF is I'm trying to get basically girls or ladies to get involved with engineering and physical science because there's a definite shortage. One of the statistics that I've uncovered is only about 11% of electrical engineers and 11% of mechanical engineers are female. And that's a pretty large gap. And those are the two engineering disciplines that are the most popular. So I encourage everybody that I come into contact with to, let's really try to suggest strongly that ladies get involved and also underrepresented groups. And I'm going to show you a couple of video clips. These are people that have participated in the past. And the first one is with Ecovative. They're the ones that made the mushroom surfboard. And the other one is CereLink. And you'll see that there are two ladies with Ecovative. And then I want you to listen closely to the CereLink video clip because that gentleman has some real interesting comments.
Yeah, sure. I'm Courtney. I came to Innovative from RPI. I started as an intern, NSF-Funded, I believe, while I was at RPI, and then came on full-time. And I worked a lot on biochemical things.
I'm Sarah. I started here in 2011 after I graduated from Ithaca College, and I'm a
So we make mushroom materials here. If you don't have much of a background on Ecovative, we make replacements for plastic foams out of mushrooms. We got started with the RAS and ROO program about 3 years ago now, and we've taken on about at least 2 to upwards of 4 students a year under this program. And normally, since it's women that we're working with, we make sure that we have women mentors, awesome ladies in science that can really serve to teach these young women, what they can do out there in the science and math community.
So you get kind of an idea. Those were 2 young ladies. Later on in the video, they talk about, they mentor the new RAHSS, they call them RAS students, and the ROO students. So they're kind of the mentors. So it was kind of interesting seeing these young ladies. They're, I don't know if you would call them tutors or teachers. They've designed a curriculum, and they help these new people coming in get an idea of what this cutting-edge research is all about, so it isn't so difficult for them, so they don't have a place to start. So I found that really interesting, what they were doing with those 2 young ladies. This one here, I want you to pay particular attention to what this young man says.
It was like an inventions workshop that we were doing, and we were just coming up with a bunch of different ideas and things like that, and really going through a brainstorming process of coming up with new products and things of that sort. And that's how we all first got introduced to her, and from there she told us more about her company and everything, and I was able to get a chance to through that program to come and intern with her during my senior year. And then following that, I was able to be employed here during the summer and come back again now while I'm on break from college.
That is really cool. And what I'm really interested in is, what is your major in college?
I'm still deciding right now. I think I want to do neuroscience. I was thinking about that and biomedical engineering, and right now I feel like I'm leaning towards neuroscience, but I'm still in the process of figuring that out.
Well, that's really cool. So did this make an influence to you on where you are pursuing your studies? I mean, do you think it helped you as far as becoming more interested in science, or are you more interested in science?
It helped me. A lot of what it did is help me see how realistic it is for me to be able to pursue a career in the sciences and see that it's something that I would be able to do and be successful in down the line, and just having this experience let me see that it's not as far fetched as it previously seemed, like in my mind.
So, I guess the thing that hit me the most about this was that this young man had decided to go into science because of this experience that he had as an RAHSS, and it reaffirmed that he could do it, that it was possible and highly probable, and he was going to carry on. And that's what we need. We need young people like that carrying this message. But one of the things I wanted to share was women should be encouraged to take physics in high school because it's interesting and fun, not because we don't have a lot of them. It is valuable as a career possibility, and they are perfectly capable of handling the rigors of intellectual discovery at this level. This needs to be reinforced over and over. We need to recondition ourselves so that it flows down to the next generation. It's really important to me that I keep this in my mind over and over, that I reinforce that young ladies, well, not even necessarily young ladies, all ladies and underrepresented groups can do this and should do this, and I really want them to give it a try. So, just like the kilobots created by computer scientists and engineers at Harvard, high school student researchers can test collective algorithms on numerous projects. The collaboration between RAHSS participants and the principal researchers is a precious undertaking that can prove valuable for both parties. While it is natural to accept the value of project-based learning in a practical setting like that of an SBIR, the amount of inspiration that a high school student, teacher, or undergraduate student might attain may prove to be immeasurable. Researchers benefit from the observations of others with a different perspective. These budding investigators' non-discriminatory observations generate ideas and insight to the complexities associated with groundbreaking, innovative research, and have demonstrated an impact on the decision-making process in a commercial setting. So I think it's important to realize that these researchers benefit from this. They're not just doing a service for the students, but the students and the teachers are also doing a service for them too. And there's a lot of hubbub lately about the next generation science standards. And I just want to share, because I'm embedded in Washington, D.C., and it's the hot topic here, that getting students involved in this kind of stuff is following the next generation science. A popular and pertinent goal of education policymakers is to practically infuse the next generation science standards into the current science curriculum. Even though doing scientific research with a small business is non-traditional in a standard curricular academic arena, it is problem-based, applies modeling principles, and involves the inclusion of science and engineering concepts. Next generation science standards are very big on including engineering concepts. By getting more students and teachers involved in this type of research, it is my hope that a revitalization of the interest in science that was dominant in the 1960s returns to the 2010s. And I'll show you this little video clip that one of our PIs helped make. Well, he did make it, and it kind of sums up everything.
I'm the owner of a software and media company, and we received an NSF SBIR grant for the research and development of a next generation cloud-based user-generated content service. We learned about the educational supplement program at the Grantees Conference, and we thought it would be a great way to help get assistance with our project while at the same time help foster science and technology back out through the education system. So we reached out through our professional and social networks, and we identified some applicants, and we interviewed them and hired some and got them to work. It worked out great for us because the nature of our project had very specific tasks that needed to be done that were well within the capabilities of the assistants. So for us, it was very smooth and it worked out really well. What was really interesting was seeing these assistants for the first time experience these innovation environments and entrepreneurship and what it takes to develop these products that we use every day, but people don't understand what goes on behind the scenes. So that was really exciting for them. And we gave them access to some of our programmers to ask questions in areas that they weren't working in to learn more. So that was really exciting. I think that any other grantee who is thinking about doing this program, I would highly encourage it, not only to get help with your project, but to help boost the apparent drain we're having in science and technology in America. And I think this program is a great way to help that.
Hi, I'm Joel, and I'm a junior at West Springfield High School. I helped the company with the software that they were developing and tested the new features that came out. It's a good way to get involved with technology if you're in school. I really think this is going to help me because I get to put it on my resume, and I learned a lot while doing it. You have to put a lot in to build software and websites, and I'm interested in doing that in the future.
Everything is about technology anymore in the classroom. We actually had a wave of a lot of great teachers who kind of had to fall by the wayside simply because they were not where they need to be in terms of technology. Every week, I had to turn in lesson plans digitally. I'm posting things online for the kids to download in the classroom. We're working with smart boards. We're using editing software in my humanities class. The kids are making brilliant films. It's gotten to the point where, as an educator, if you're going to keep your head above water, you have to know as much as you can about what's going on with technology. I took this opportunity because I felt like, I'm teaching this stuff. I need to know as much as I can about the ins and outs of what's going on with multimedia, what's going on technology-wise. And in turn, I can create more engaging lessons. I'm appealing to the kids are intrinsically motivated for things that they can apply to the real world. And the more I can bring that into the classroom, the more they're going to gain, the more I'm going to get out of them. It's really a win-win.
So how do you get to the website? How do I find out more information about this stuff? And this sometimes can be perplexing. But at the very top of this slide, you'll see a web address that you can put in the browser. But once you get to this page, you'll see there's a bunch of blue icons on a map. And those blue icons represent SBIRs, where there is a potential for taking an RAHSS student, a high school student or a teacher or an undergrad. Just click on the map and you can move the map around and you can find where all the little blue icons, like if you wanted to go to Florida, you move to Florida and click on a blue icon. Or if you look on the bottom, it says Browse Award Information and Abstracts. You can click on that and you can get a whole list of awards and abstracts state by state. Anyways, if you go on further, it says, are you interested in research experiences with NSF, SBIR, STTR Phase 2 companies? Click here. If you click on the hyperlink, what will happen is it will bring you to the page that gives you the instructions on how to do it. What exactly do I have to do? This is the page with all the necessary information to the specifics of the application. Basically, what you need to do is you and your prospective student should submit a professional-looking resume or a biographical sketch. I would suggest turning in a professional-looking resume. and you would send that to SBIR Research Experience, EXP, at NSF.gov. Myself, I would also attach a cover letter explaining why I was interested and in which particular Phase 2 grantee, if I had one. If I didn't care, if it didn't matter to me, of course, I wouldn't specify. But there might be one that you might be particularly interested in. Can anyone apply? Anyone can apply that's a high school student and a teacher. If you're a teacher, you can apply, or an undergraduate, or a veteran undergraduate. But if you look at this page, it gives you all the specifics as to who is eligible and who is not. So this is the end of my little presentation, and I have underneath this questions label 2 email addresses. You can email me at either one of those 2 addresses if you have any kind of questions or comments